Welcome to Uncloaked Illusions. I'm Chris Anthony, and I wanted to share a little perspective on conversations, of course, that happen at work, and maybe I need to quarantine a certain area of my commentary uh, to this particular subject. Now, I was just kind of like standing idle as a couple of my coworkers, females, were having a conversation, and it was about the interracial relationships. And mind you, my ears just kind of open when it has anything to do with interracial dating or interracial mingling in any sense, because I like to get perspective on the matter to find out how significant it can be to one or insignificant that it can be to someone. Now, these young ladies were, expressing their woes about how it angers them to see a black man with a white woman. And they were also pointing out how they consider it to be a form of traitor ration, I suppose, or being a traitor to your own race. But yet, in expressing this, one of the young ladies, pretty much mentions that it always seems like the white girls get the good black men. And my mind is like, ding, ding, ding. You just pretty much answered your own query, and you just kind of addressed your own aggravation. They keep getting the good men. And this is something that your observation has brought you to the conclusion of. And mind you, I love to engage when it gets to this point, because I'm like, okay, you've just answered your own question. You were wondering why black men are going to not just white women but other nationalities, because they don't deem you worthy to be dated. They don't deem you dateable. And if the white women are getting the good black men, then that apparently means that there are no decent black women for them to court. And this only addresses those women that are like that. It's not for every single black woman, because not every single black woman is a retarded person. This is a conversation that I can always get involved in and pretty much piss people off. Because one thing I've learned about the black female is one thing she's not going to do is look at herself and find blame within herself, because the blame cannot go around if you feel strongly that black men are flaunting to other races, and it's always the good black men. Well, excuse my French. Sometimes I get a little slurred when it comes to speech, because I speak sometimes quicker than I think. Mind you, the issue with this is it has nothing to do with the black men leaving in droves to go to white women. It has everything to do with your nasty fucking attitudes, your disposition on being rectified in any wrongdoings that you have committed, and ultimately your disillusion when it comes to your confusion when it has to do with being argumentative and comparing that to being a strong black woman. Well, how has that worked out for you so far? You're pushing away the decent black men because they just don't even deem you dateable. You're not even worthy. The only thing that you have become good for is being fucked and left. And I hate to be so abashedly brutal when it comes to expressing this, but this is what I've come to observe and realize when it comes to black women. Men for the most part, at least decent men with structure, with morals, and that wants to build, they want a woman. Not a woman that has more testosterone implemented in them, that the only thing that black women have become good at is picking men based off of the way they look, and they do not They do not count anything else, anything dealing with, does this man have any kind of drive for life, any aspiration? Does he have structure? Does he have any morals? Is he family oriented? Because you want danger, you deem the boring men to be just that boring, and nothing exciting comes from them, and yet these boring men make the better parental units. I think it's very telling when you have a group of young black women that are starting to now even complain about the lack thereof of decent black men. Well, that's because you accept these ideas of fuckery. You accept these fucking run boys. You try to change these guys that obviously want one thing, to be boyfriend material, and you just cannot do that. You cannot convert a person who's already been pre-programmed and accepted by this generation of women, this culture of women, to be something suitable to be dateable. It just cannot happen. And I just think that also highlights the psychosis in the black community, especially with the black women. Chances are your mothers or your grandmothers had something to do with the upbringing and the raising of these rejectable ass men. I say that to say this because I've even had conversations with young men about black women just seemingly only picking guys that are deplorable, that are savages, that are amoral, that have absolutely no structure, and the only thing that they can offer them is maybe dick and weed here and there. This is the black woman in the black community, and mind you, when you don't have a family unit in a community, when you do not have a male and a woman together creating civilized human beings that will be productive in a society, you don't have an economy. You don't have a fucking culture. Okay? You have savagery. That's what you have. This is the black community. Thank your Democratic Party for that, which again, I can go into detail with that, but I choose not to. I will allow the audience to be the one to ask the questions. But I personally think that when it comes to black fuckery, women, you have to stop blaming everybody else around you for the lack thereof of men and responsible men in the black community, because that is something that's also missing in the black community, and that's accountability, that's responsibility. You have to start looking at yourself. If men are going away in droves to other cultures, to other women, but going away from the black woman, you have to look at the black woman. You have to look at yourself in the mirror, because it's not the men, it's you. All you are accepting is these little boys masquerading around as fucking men. And this is what you get. You get a fucking culture full of deadbeat ass men, or deadbeat little boys whose idea of being a man is being a thug. I just felt like sharing that. I'm Chris Anthony. Mind you, I love to be thought provoking when I have conversations with people in this area, because I love to make it clear that I would never date a black woman, because there is no decent human being that looks at a black woman and thinks that that's attractive. Again, somebody that has more testosterone than you do, something's an issue with that. And I know that I don't have an issue with my masculinity being questioned. But I am about structure. I am about morals. If I date a young lady, I want a lady. I don't want a fucking friend that is more like one of the boys, one of the guys. Black women have shedded their femininity a long time ago. And sorry, if If I want to reproduce with someone, she has to be intelligent. She has to be feminine. She has to be submissive. She has to allow me to be the man to provide and take care of her. By all means, you can definitely be a part of that and be a part of it. And we can grow together. But ultimately, you need to stay in your lane, as one would say. And remember, you're a fucking female. You're not a man. Again, I'm Chris Anthony. And I want you to give me your feedback on this. I know I'm probably going to get a lot of heat for this, but I feel like it's necessary because, again, thought-provoking. It's that conversation that it needs to happen in the black community, and we're avoiding it. We're definitely, even as young men who probably look at that type of behavior and they deem it to be acceptable. Where we have black women that are completely fucking psychosis and psychotic, and they're confused when it comes to being argumentative and being I said it a second ago, being argumentative and being a strong black woman. And they confuse the two. That argumentative side of you pushes people away, which is why most men just kind of look at you like, oh yeah, she has a vagina, I'll deal with her, and then I'm leaving. Again, when you start wanting men and you start accepting only fucking men, maybe some men will start developing. But as long as you're accepting these young women that act just as you do, that's all you're going to get. Share the video, like it, subscribe. The subscriptions are up, and I am excited about that. I am definitely excited about that. I'm going to start going live at some point. I'm also working on my own blog talk radio station where you guys could call in and we could actually have conversations. I will set up conversations or certain topics that we can talk about. Believe me, Constitution will definitely have a great deal to do with it, the history of it, and how it has transformed, and how it is a living document, and also history in general, philosophy, maybe even a little psychology. We are going to have these discussions, especially when it comes to the black community. And I was a little apprehensive at first about even touching bases with the black community because I had even gotten to a point where you can't save it. It's too far gone. You cannot save the black culture. Every other culture looks at us around the world and we're the laughing stock of America. America is pretty much a laughing stock, but black people in America are the laughing stock of the world. And that's something to be proud of. That is something to be proud of, that you put more value in your material possessions, clothing, your hair, your swagger, as one would call it. And yet black people own nothing. Black people have no economy because our economies are pretty much run by other cultures. We have nothing. The only thing we have is this fucking disillusioned idea that we're cool. Yeah, what a legacy to leave to the next generation, right? I'm Chris Anthony. As I said before, like, subscribe, share the video, give me your comments. Let me know how you feel about it. Let me know how you feel about the fuckery in the black community, about the black woman, about the black man. This is about primarily the women, but there will be a video addressing the men as well, because you can't point the finger at one without three pointing back at you. I'm out.